Hey guys, it's Elle from Red Over Heels with Elle, and today I'm going to be chatting about all of the 5-star romances that I read this past summer. So I have about 10 to share with you. My summer reading was kind of off track for a couple of different reasons. So there's less quantity than spring when I did this video in spring, but I read some absolutely amazing books over the summer and I cannot wait to share them with you, so let's get right into this video. The first book I want to talk about is Keep Her Safe by QB Tyler. This was QB Tyler's newest release, and I think it released in May, and I got an ARC for it, but I ended up finishing it in June, and this book is incredible. This is a bodyguard romance, a forbidden romance, an age gap romance. So our hero and heroine meet when the heroine is 18 and her parents are very rich, and she's also a model and an actress. So her parents decide to hire a bodyguard for her to keep her safe and just to look out for her, and that's when our hero steps in. And so automatically they have this insane attraction to each other, but she is 18 and I think he's 30 or early 30s when they first meet, so it's like a definite no-go because of the age gap and just because he's her bodyguard. So now it's 5 years later and she is out of her relationship that she was in, and she makes a move on her bodyguard and lets him know her feelings, and it is so good. I just love this book. QB Tyler knows how to do spice and angst and forbiddenness, and this book was amazing. I loved like the struggle that the hero had between wanting to protect her but also falling in love with her and wanting to do his job. It was just so good, and there's some suspense in this one because the heroine is dealing with a stalker situation and they don't know who it is, and it is so good. I love this one. If you want a really good spicy forbidden age gap romance, definitely go check this one out. The next book I'm going to talk about is Reckless by Elsie Silver. This book, I love it so much. So I remember vividly listening to the audio of this book and just reading it in one day. I think it's only 9 hours, but I read it in one day because I need to keep reading. I like everything about this book was perfection. I highly recommend the audiobook. The narrator is amazing. I can't remember if it's Jacob Morgan that does it. It's one of the I just can't remember who narrates this one, but I just remembered the narration was incredible. So this is a part of the series that she has, but it's her most current series, and this one is a surprise pregnancy / surprise baby. So Winter and Theo meet and they absolutely detest each other at first, and Winter just thinks that Theo is just super annoying and just a cowboy, and she's like a lawyer from the city. But they end up having a one-night stand and she gets pregnant, and something happens where Theo doesn't know about the baby, and so now it is a year later and he finds out that he has a child with Winter, and he just steps right into the father role and it's the best dad to his daughter. And Winter this whole time thought that he didn't want to be her dad, and so they're starting to reconnect. They're starting to grow a friendship while co-parenting, and it's just amazing. I really, really love this romance. It's just so good. The audio is incredible. I love seeing Theo as a single dad. He's also a bull rider, and I think Winter is a little bit older than him, if I can remember. But I just loved the setup of this romance and how they fell in love as they were parenting their daughter, but it wasn't forced. Like, they weren't forcing each other to fall in love because they have a child together. They just inevitably fell in love, and I just love that so much about this book. The next book is A Wicked Game by Kate Bateman. This is a historical romance, and this one is such a fun romance. I really, really liked it. This is a part of her series where each hero and heroine is from a rival family, and their families have been rivaling for like hundreds of years. And so this one starts off with our hero and heroine. They were kind of childhood enemies, and the hero was, I think, like on a ship or in the army where he was out at sea, and he followed this map where he got into a really bad shipwreck, and so now he's coming back to England and he is out for revenge. He wants to know who this map maker is that made this map that made him shipwreck, and he ends up finding out that it is the heroine. And so he is like, well, I'm gonna get my revenge on her and seduce her at the same time. And when they were younger, they made a bet that it was like something where like a kiss or something, where one of them, I think, like if she lost something, she had to give him a kiss, and he still hasn't like called in the bet. So he keeps drawing out this kiss the whole book of like if he's gonna kiss her or not, when is he gonna kiss her. Super angsty and like tension between them. And they also kind of have to go on like a mystery together, trying to figure out what happened with his map. And it was just super fun. I remember really liking the audiobook of this one, and I just thought it was so angsty, and I loved all of the tension between the two main characters. It was really good. If you want a really fun historical romance, I recommend this one. The next book I'm going to talk about is Glimmers of You by Catherine Cowles. This is the newest release in the Lost and Found series. This is her newest series that she has been working on this past year, and all of the books in this series have been amazing so far. I think Glimmers of You might be my favorite. I don't know, I really love the second book also, but this one follows Gray and Caden, I think. I can't really remember I don't know if that's the right name for the hero, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, so the hero is the heroine's like brother's best friend, and so they've also been really close over the years, and they go on a hike when they're in their teens, and the heroine basically collapses, and what they don't know is that she has diabetes, and they just didn't know it at the time. And so the hero is super duper freaked out with this instance of almost losing her, and he kind of like puts length between them because he was so freaked out by it. And now he is back in town, and the heroine is having a really creepy situation with this guy that just can't take a hint. And so the first person that she sees, she says that she is in a relationship with them, and that is the hero. And so they end up having to fake date, but they also have feelings for each other. And it's small town, friends to lovers, and it was just so good. And there's some suspense in this one. I just loved it. I love Catherine Cowles, and I loved this romance. I love this whole series, and the hero just really needed to open up to the heroine, and it was just so beautiful to see him do that. And he's also a billionaire, so that's always really fun. I just love this romance. Highly recommend this whole series, and I cannot wait for the next book, which is Shadows of You, which is coming out on October 24th. Okay, so probably my favorite book that I read this summer was Manacled by Sin Yu. This book is incredible. I had never read a fan fiction before, but this one definitely changed the game for me. So this is a fan fiction of Draco Malfoy and Hermione, and so this is in a world where Harry Potter did not win the big war between Voldemort and like Harry Potter. And so basically like everybody is dead except Hermione and Voldemort and his army is basically now controlling the wizarding world. And so Hermione is like found, and she doesn't remember anything of like what happened in the past when she was helping Harry Potter. I don't remember what his army was called. It was just like, I think it was called maybe the Order. And so anyways, she was helping him, and she doesn't remember any memories. So basically now she is being taken and being given to the High Reeve, which is Draco, to be breeded, because they have this whole breeding program, which is, if you've ever seen Handmaid's Tale, it's kind of like that, but they give her to Draco because if they think that if she has a baby that she will remember her memories, and then they can get information out of her. And so now she's given to Draco, and that's where the story goes from there. I don't want to spoil anything, but just know this is such an epic romance. It is incredible. I love Draco and Hermione's romance. I love how protective and possessive Draco is of her, and how they would literally obliterate the world for each other. And I just love that. This book is so long, but it's amazing. Highly recommend. I absolutely love this book, and I need a physical copy of this book, but it is fan fiction. But I am on the hunt, and that is my goal, to find a copy of this book, a binding of this book, hopefully in the next year or so, I don't know. And then I have a Lorraine Heath on this list, which is Lord of Temptation. This one is a super fun historical romance. I listened to it on audio. So our heroine is trying to find her long lost fiance who was in like a war, and so she is trying to travel to see if she can find him. And so she basically has to bargain with this sea captain to get on his ship to go find her ex-fiance or lost fiance. And so the hero is a captain of the ship, and he is like, absolutely not, you cannot be on this ship, we don't want a woman on the ship. They make a deal where if she lets him have 3 kisses, then she can stay on the ship. And he basically just like wants her, but he can't, like, she is like a woman of high society and she doesn't want to give in to him, but he is just so like wanting of her, desire of her, and it is just amazing. There's so much tension in this romance between when he's gonna kiss her and where, and it is just so fun. I really like this one. It's a romance at sea, and I just loved seeing the struggle that the hero had because he loves being at sea and that's been his whole life, but maybe he would want to settle down someday, he doesn't know, and that's like a really big struggle in their relationship. But I really like this one and I highly recommend it. The next book I have is Always Only You by Chloe Leese. This is the second book in the Bergman Brothers series, and I love this book. This was my first book from Chloe Leese, and I just fell in love with her writing. So the heroine is like, I think she's like the marketing social media for this hockey team, and the hero's on the hockey team, and it is a grumpy sunshine romance. It also has disability representation. This one, the heroine has rheumatoid arthritis, and so I really love the representation in this book of the heroine, and I think she also is on the spectrum. And so we got to see kind of her struggles in with her disabilities, and I just loved how caring and loving the hero was of her, and just would not coddle her but would also just be there as a supportive system for her. And I just love that, and I just love the whole Bergman family. They're so funny. This is a grumpy sunshine romance, and it's like reverse grumpy sunshine, where she's kind of the grumpy one and he's very sunshiny. And I just love this book. I thought it was so much fun. I listened to it on audio, so I recommend that. The whole series is on Hoopla, and it was just fantastic. Highly recommend. And the next book I have is Ever After Always, which is the third book in the Bergman Brothers series. This is a marriage and trouble romance. So our hero and heroine have been married, I think for like maybe like 8 or 10 years, but it's coming to the point where the heroine is just not feeling seen in the relationship and feels like the hero's been very distant of her. And she feels this way because they have been dealing with trying to have a child, and it's been very difficult for them, and she just feels this really big disconnect. And so they are on like the brink of divorce, but then the whole Bergman family is going on a trip, and so they have to go on the trip with the family because the heroine, I think, is the sister in the Bergman family, and so they have to go on a trip to Hawaii together, and they do not want to be near each other, but they have to. So it's like forced proximity, kind of second chance, and it's so good. I really love seeing the communication in this one between the hero and heroine. I just felt like they had such good communication. I love seeing them fall back in love with each other over this like weekend vacation, and of course you have your funny moments with the Bergman family, and I just loved it. It was so fun. Super fun romance. I love the audio for this one. Then I have Unraveling Him by Claire Kingsley. This is another grumpy sunshine romance, and I love this book. This is my first Claire Kingsley book, and it was incredible. I listened to the audio of this one and I thought it was perfection. So the hero and heroine do not get off on a great start because the heroine's father sold the hero a car that was a stolen car, and so the hero's a mechanic and he prides himself on finding these really rare cars, and so it just like basically hates her and her dad now. But then she goes to him because she found her dad and her best friend in bed together, and she's like, I gotta get out of here, and she was working for her dad. So she comes to him and she's like, hey, I can get you this really rare car if you let me stay with you. And so they basically go on this road trip where they're going to go find this car, and it's super fun. He's very grumpy and he is very a recluse of this family. The whole series revolves around the Bailey brothers, and I just love this romance. I thought it was so fun. Super duper grumpy, sunshiny. She is the epitome of sunshine, and I just thought it was such a fun book. So many like funny, quirky moments, small town. I just really liked it, and I never read a romance with a mechanic hero, so that was fun. I just really enjoyed this one, and I can't wait to continue on with this series. And the last book I'm going to talk about is Fourth Ring by Rebecca Yarros. So this one was such a great read. It is a fantasy romance, and it is a fantasy where there is a dragon rider academy, and the heroine was never supposed to be a dragon rider. She always wanted to become a scribe, which is they would deal with like libraries and texts and stuff. She was never like the person she thought she would be to be like a dragon rider, but she ends up having to be because her mother basically forces her to. And so this Dragon Academy is very cutthroat, and she is going through like the trials of trying to figure out being a dragon rider, but then also the hero is like in a rival. He's doing some like shady stuff, and it's like hate to love romance. It was super fun. I'm so excited for the next installment of the series. I just love fantasy romances, and I cannot wait. I did not really explain the synopsis that well, but just know it is a fantasy romance with dragon riders, and that's all you really need to know, because I think you shouldn't really you should go in blind with this book, so you can be very surprised of what happens. And I just really love this one. I thought it was super fun, and it is definitely worth the hype, and I am so excited for the next book to come out in November, I think. Well, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts about my favorite books that I read in the summer, my 5-star reads. Let me know what some of your 5-star reads were that you read in the summer, and I would love to know. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.